There are moments rare, unsettling, almost impossible to explain when something interrupts your normal flow. Not loudly, not dramatically, but with a quiet urgency that grips your spirit before your mind can even understand it. This is one of those moments. You didn't just click on this. You didn't just stumble into these words while scrolling without purpose. No, pause for a second and feel it. Something inside you hesitated. Something inside you said, "Wait, this feels different." That hesitation, that pull, that unexplainable pause in your routine, that was not random. That was not coincidence. That was alignment. Because when heaven needs your attention, it doesn't shout first. It interrupts. And right now, something has interrupted your day, your pattern, your distraction to deliver this message. A message that does not arrive early. A message that does not arrive late. A message that arrives exactly when your next move matters the most. Archangel Michael speaks not in confusion, not in chaos, but in precision. And his voice is cutting through the noise of everything around you to say this clearly. Someone is watching your next move very carefully. Let that settle. Not casually watching, not accidentally noticing. Carefully watching, studying, observing, waiting. And here's what should make your spirit lean in closer. What they are planning has not been finalized yet. It is not fixed. It is not sealed. It is waiting on something. It is waiting on you. Yes, you. Have you noticed how lately your decisions feel heavier? How even small choices seem to carry more weight than usual? How certain conversations feel loaded, like there's more beneath the surface than what's being said? That's not your imagination. That's your awareness rising. That's your spirit picking up on something your physical eyes cannot yet fully see. Because something shifted recently. Something in your energy changed. Something in your direction adjusted. At the moment that shift happened, attention followed. Eyes turned. Awareness locked in on you. Not because you announced anything. Not because you explained anything. But because when your path begins to change, those who are watching, both seen and unseen, take notice. And now, you are standing at a subtle but powerful crossroads. This is not the kind of crossroads with loud signs and clear directions. No, this one is quiet. Almost invisible. It looks like an ordinary moment. An ordinary decision. An ordinary reaction. But it is not ordinary at all. Because what you do after this moment will signal something. It will confirm something. It will reveal something. And the one who is watching, they are not guessing. They are waiting for your signal. This is why this message had to reach you now, not later, not after the decision is made, not after the reaction has already happened. Doubt. Right before. Right in the tension. Right in the moment where awareness can change everything. You may not even know yet what decision this is referring to. You may not have identified the exact situation. But your spirit knows. Here is something already forming. A conversation approaching. A choice looming. A reaction building. And heaven is stepping in before it unfolds. Archangel Michael is not here to alarm you. He is here to align you. To sharpen your awareness. To slow your reaction. To remind you that not every moment is what it appears to be, and not every observer has pure intentions. So before you move, before you respond, before you act out of habit, emotion, or pressure, understand this. You are being watched because your next move matters more than you realize. And this is your moment to become aware of it. Type "I am aware" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2020 is now activated around your next move. There is a presence around your life right now that does not announce itself, does not step forward boldly, and does not reveal its full intention. It lingers. It studies. It waits. And as Archangel Michael speaks, his voice carries a firm clarity that cuts through every layer of confusion. You are not imagining the feeling that something is off. You are not overthinking the subtle tension that seems to follow certain moments. There is, indeed, someone watching your next move very carefully, and their observation is not passive. It is strategic. This watcher does not operate in obvious ways. They are not standing in plain sight with open hostility. Instead, they move quietly, blending into familiarity, hiding behind normal interactions, and masking their awareness with neutrality. This is why your spirit feels unsettled even when nothing appears wrong on the surface. Because what your eyes cannot detect, your inner discernment has already begun to sense. And that uneasiness you have brushed aside before. It was never baseless. It was a signal. Archangel Michael reveals that this observation is rooted in awareness of your shift. Something about you has changed recently, whether you have fully recognized it or not. Your energy has altered. Your focus has sharpened. Your direction has begun to move in a way that is no longer predictable to those who once understood you. And when you become unpredictable to the wrong people, you become a subject of attention. Not admiration, but calculation. This watcher is trying to understand your pattern. They are trying to anticipate your decisions before you make them. They are studying how you respond, how you react, how you move in moments of pressure or uncertainty. Not because they are curious, but because they are preparing. Preparing for an outcome that depends on your behavior. This is why the message carries urgency. Because their next step is not independent. It is reactive. It is weighty on you. You must understand something deeply important in this moment. Not all observation is harmless. There are those who watch with care, and there are those who watch with intent. And the difference lies in what they do with what they see. This watcher is gathering information, not for connection, but for positioning. Your silence is not peace. Your distance is not disinterest. It is calculation disguised as calm. Have you noticed how certain people seem to respond differently to you lately? How conversations feel measured, as if words are being chosen more carefully around you? How there is a subtle shift in tone, in eye contact, in presence. These are not random changes. These are indicators. Indicators that your presence is being evaluated in ways you have not fully acknowledged yet. Archangel Michael warns that this watcher is not necessarily an outsider. In fact, what makes this situation more delicate is that the observation is coming from a place of proximity. Someone within your circle, someone who has access to your behavior, your patterns, your environment, has taken on the role of silent observer. This is why discernment is critical now. Because distance alone will not reveal them. Only awareness will. But here is where the message deepens. The watcher is not all-powerful. They are not in control. They are not dictating your outcome. They are reacting to it. And this is where your power lies. Because while they are watching, heaven is guiding. While they are calculating, Archangel Michael is protecting. While they are waiting for your move, you are being given the opportunity to move with awareness rather than impulse. This is not a message to create fear. It is a message to create clarity. You are not being watched because you are weak. You are being watched because your next move carries weight. Because your direction is shifting in a way that affects more than just you. And those who sense that shift, whether consciously or not, are trying to position themselves in response to it. So what must you do? You must slow down. You must observe before reacting. You must become as aware of your environment as someone is of you. This is not the time for careless words, impulsive decisions, or emotionally driven reactions. This is the time for precision, for stillness, for controlled movement, because the watcher is looking for patterns. But if you move with awareness, if you step outside of predictable reactions, if you align yourself with clarity instead of emotion, their calculations begin to fail. Their expectations begin to collapse, and what they were planning loses its foundation. Archangel Michael stands as your witness and your shield in this moment, reminding you that observation without understanding is powerless against wisdom. And you are being called into wisdom now. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Type ISE clearly in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3030 is now surrounding your awareness. There is a moment, quiet, almost invisible, where everything begins to change, and most people miss it because it doesn't arrive with noise. It doesn't come with an announcement. It doesn't declare itself as important. It simply appears as a choice, a reaction, a decision that feels small on the surface but carries weight in the unseen. And Archangel Michael speaks now with unmistakable authority. This is that moment for you. What you do next is not just a response to your current situation. It is a signal, a message, a declaration that will echo beyond what you can currently see. Because the one who is watching you is not waiting for a grand move. They are waiting for your immediate one, the subtle one, the one you are about to make without thinking, unless you choose awareness right now. This is where most people lose control of their outcome. Not in the major decisions, but in the minor reactions, in the quick replies, in the emotional responses, in the moments where they act from habit instead of intention. And that is exactly where the watcher is focused. Not on your long-term plan, but on your short-term reaction. Have you felt it? That internal pressure to respond quickly. That urge to say something, to act immediately, to prove a point, to defend yourself, to correct something, to engage. That pressure is not accidental. It is the exact space where your next move is being tested. Because if you react without awareness, you reveal more than you intend. You expose your position. You confirm your pattern. And the watcher gains what they were waiting for. But if you pause, everything shifts. Archangel Michael is not asking you to stop moving. He is asking you to move differently. To move with intention. To move with clarity. To move with control. Because when you delay reaction, you disrupt expectation. When you choose silence over impulse, you remove predictability. And when you step back instead of stepping forward too quickly, you regain authority over the moment. Understand this clearly. Your next move is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about protecting your direction. Because once a move is made, it cannot be unseen. Once a reaction is given, it cannot be unheard. And once a pattern is confirmed, it becomes easier to anticipate. This is why this moment is so critical. You are not being watched for who you are being watched for who you are becoming. And that version of you is not meant to operate the same way anymore. The reactions that once felt natural must now be replaced with awareness. The habits that once felt automatic must now be interrupted with intention. There is power in restraint that most people underestimate. Power in not answering immediately. Power in not revealing your thoughts too quickly. Power in observing before engaging. And this is the power Archangel Michael is guiding you into now. Because while the watcher is trying to predict you, heaven is trying to elevate you. And elevation requires a different kind of movement. A movement that is not rushed, not pressured, not emotionally driven, but aligned, measured, intentional. You may not see the full picture yet, and that is exactly why you must not move prematurely. Because sometimes the greatest mistake is not a wrong decision. It is a rushed one. A decision made before clarity fully arrives. A reaction made before truth fully reveals itself. So in this moment, you are being asked to do something that goes against instinct. Slow down when everything tells you to speed up. Pause when everything tells you to respond. Observe when everything tells you to engage. Because the one who is watching is counting on your urgency. They are depending on your reaction. They are waiting for your move to finalize their plan. But what happens when you don't give it to them? What happens when you step outside of expectation? What happens when your next move is not what they predicted? Everything changes. Because now, they are the ones without clarity. And now, they are the ones forced to reconsider. Now, their plan, whatever it may be, loses its foundation. This is your advantage. This is your moment. This is your shift. And Archangel Michael stands beside you, not to control your choice, but to remind you that you have one. A powerful one. A defining one. So choose awareness over impulse. Choose silence over reaction. Choose clarity over pressure. Because what you do next will not just respond to the moment. It will shape what comes after it. Type "I move with intention" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 4040 is now activated over your next decision. As this moment calls you into intentional movement, understand this. Every act of obedience you take becomes a ripple in someone else's life. When you choose to support this mission through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are sowing light into souls who are still searching for clarity. The Lord declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy," and your seed today becomes a harvest of awakening for someone who is still in darkness. I feel it deeply, and I say it plainly. I am inviting you into this moment not as a viewer, but as a vessel. This is your chance to move not just in awareness, but in divine action. What you release now will return to you multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. Let your giving become your prophetic step. Act now. There is something unfolding beyond your direct line of sight, something that does not announce itself openly but is quietly forming in the background of your life. It is not loud. It is not obvious. It does not reveal itself in clear statements or visible actions. Instead, it exists in fragments, unfinished conversations, subtle exchanges, glances that linger a moment too long, words that seem ordinary but carry an undercurrent you cannot fully explain. And Archangel Michael steps forward now with a sharpened clarity to say this: there is an agenda forming, and it is being shaped in response to you. This agenda is not random. It is not spontaneous. It is being built piece by piece, shaped by observation, influenced by perception, and guided by assumptions about who you are and what you will do next. The watcher you were warned about is not simply observing for curiosity. They are observing to decide. Every reaction you give, every word you speak, every movement you make is being quietly analyzed and added into a larger picture they are constructing about you. But here is the part you must understand with precision. What they are planning is not yet complete. It is still forming. It is still adjustable. And that means it is still vulnerable to change. There are conversations happening that do not include you, yet revolve around you. Not necessarily malicious in tone, but not pure in intention either. These conversations are shaping narratives, small interpretations of your behavior, quiet conclusions about your motives, assumptions about your direction. And once a narrative is formed, it begins to influence action. This is how agendas are built, not from truth, but from repeated interpretation. Have you sensed it? That strange awareness that something is being said when you are not present. That feeling that certain people seem to already know things you never directly shared. That shift in how you are approached, as if decisions about you have already been partially made. This is not coincidence. This is the effect of a narrative forming in spaces you have not entered. Archangel Michael reveals that the hidden agenda is not necessarily about immediate harm. It is about positioning themselves in a way that benefits them based on what they believe you will do. And this is why your next move carries such weight. Because once your behavior confirms their assumptions, their plan solidifies. It locks into place. It becomes action. But until that moment it is still fluid. This is your window. Because if you move differently than expected, if you respond in a way that does not match the narrative they are building, you interrupt the entire structure of their plan. You create uncertainty where they were seeking confirmation. You introduce doubt where they were building confidence. And suddenly, the agenda that seems so certain begins to weaken. You must realize something deeper here. People often act not based on truth, but based on what they believe to be true. And beliefs can be wrong. But when left unchallenged, those beliefs turn into decisions. And those decisions turn into actions that affect real outcomes. This is why silence, awareness, and controlled movement are now your greatest tools. Because the hidden agenda feeds on predictability. It grows stronger when your reactions match expectations. It becomes powerful when your behavior confirms their assumptions. But it weakens when you become unpredictable in the right way, not chaotic but intentional. Not reactive but aware. Archangel Michael is not calling you to confrontation. He is not asking you to expose or challenge directly. He is guiding you into a higher strategy, one where your actions speak before your words ever need to. One where your restraint carries more power than explanation. One where your clarity dismantles confusion without you having to engage in it. There is also something else you must understand. Not everyone involved in this hidden agenda is fully aware of it. Some are simply participating through conversation, through assumption, through shared interpretation. They may not see the full picture of what is forming. They may not even realize the weight of what they are contributing to. But the outcome is still real. And that is why you must move with awareness, not emotion. Because reacting emotionally would only feed the narrative. It would only confirm what they are already leaning toward believing. But responding with control, responding with calm, with patience, with intentional distance when necessary, that disrupts everything. The plan they are forming depends on you being who you used to be. But you are no longer that person. And this is your advantage. So do not rush to explain yourself. Do not feel the need to correct every misunderstanding. Do not step into spaces where your energy is being discussed instead of respected. Let your movement become your message. Let your consistency become your clarity. Let your restraint become your authority. Because what is being planned behind closed doors cannot stand if it is built on an outdated version of you. And Archangel Michael is reminding you now. You have already changed. Now your actions must reflect it. Type "I move differently" now in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 5050 is now surrounding your path. There comes a moment in every spiritual awakening where what once seemed clear begins to feel uncertain, and what once felt uncertain begins to sharpen into clarity. This is not confusion. It is transition. And Archangel Michael speaks into this transition with precision, reminding you that what you are experiencing right now is not instability, but activation. Your discernment is rising, and with it comes a responsibility you can no longer ignore. Because the truth is this: dissection does not arrive looking like dissection. It rarely announces itself as false. It rarely presents itself in a way that is easy to reject. Instead, it comes wrapped in familiarity, disguised in partial truth, hidden inside tone, timing, and intention. And this is why you have felt that internal conflict, the subtle tension between what you hear and what you feel, between what is said and what is meant. That tension is not weakness. That tension is your discernment trying to speak. Archangel Michael reveals that you are entering a phase where surface-level understanding is no longer enough. You can no longer rely only on words. You can no longer take actions at face value. You must begin to read what is beneath, the visible, what is behind the expression, what is carried in the energy of a moment rather than just the language of it. Have you noticed how certain conversations leave you feeling drained even when nothing negative was explicitly said? How certain interactions feel slightly off, even when they appear polite? How some people speak in a way that sounds supportive, but something inside you hesitates to fully trust it? That hesitation is not doubt. It is awareness. Discernment does not always shout. Often, it whispers. It nudges. It creates a pause where there would normally be certainty. And that pause is where truth begins to reveal itself. But here is where many lose clarity. They override that pause. They dismiss it. They explain it away in order to maintain comfort. They choose familiarity over truth because truth sometimes requires distance, adjustment, or change. And that is exactly what deception relies on: your willingness to ignore what you sense in order to preserve what you know. Archangel Michael is calling you out of that pattern now. You are being asked to trust what you feel, not blindly but attentively. To examine not just what is said, but how it is said. To observe not just actions but consistency. Because truth is consistent, even when it is uncomfortable. Deception, however, requires constant adjustment. It shifts, it adapts, it changes tone depending on the situation. And if you begin to watch closely, you will see it. There is also something else you must recognize. Discernment is not judgment. It is not about labeling people, condemning them, or reacting harshly. It is about understanding alignment. It is about recognizing what matches your direction and what does not. It is about knowing when something feels right and when something subtly pulls you away from clarity. And in this moment, clarity is everything. Because the watcher, the hidden agenda, the shifting environment around you, all of it depends on your level of awareness. If you cannot distinguish truth from distortion, you become vulnerable to influence. But if your discernment is active, you become difficult to mislead, difficult to manipulate, difficult to predict. This is why Archangel Michael is sharpening your perception now, before the situation fully unfolds. Because once you can see clearly, you no longer need to react impulsively. You no longer need to question every instinct. You begin to move with quiet confidence, knowing when to engage and when to step back. And here is the key: truth does not create confusion within you. It may challenge you. It may stretch you. But it will not leave you feeling divided. Deception, however, often creates internal conflict. It pulls you in two directions at once. It makes you question what you already sensed. It creates noise where there should be clarity. So when you feel that inner division, pause. Do not rush to resolve it. Sit with it. Observe it. Because within that tension lies the difference between what is real and what is being presented. You are no longer meant to move blindly. You are no longer meant to accept everything at face value. You are being elevated into awareness where your spirit becomes your guide, not just your logic, not just your habits, not just your past experiences. And this elevation requires trust. Trust in what you sense before it is proven. Trust in what you feel before it is explained. Trust in the quiet knowing that rises within you without needing external confirmation. Because that knowing is where truth begins. Archangel Michael stands as your protector, but also as your guide, reminding you that protection is not only external, it is internal. It lives within your ability to recognize what aligns and what does not. So sharpen your awareness. Refine your perception. Listen to the pauses within you. Because the clearer you see, the less power deception holds. Type "I discern the truth" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 6060 is now activating your inner clarity. There is a tension building within you right now, a subtle pressure that urges you to respond, to clarify, to act before the moment passes. It feels almost justified, almost necessary, as if silence might cost you something important. But Archangel Michael steps into this exact tension and speaks with unwavering authority. This is a test, and it is not a test of your strength. It is a test of your restraint. Because not every moment is meant to be answered immediately. Not every situation requires your voice right away. And not every action deserves your reaction. This is where many lose their position without even realizing it. They believe that staying silent means losing control, that responding quickly means maintaining power. But in truth, the opposite is often what shifts the outcome. Immediate reaction exposes you. It reveals your thoughts before they are fully formed. It places you into a rhythm that others can anticipate. And once your rhythm is predictable, it becomes easy to navigate around you, to plan against you, to use your own responses as a map. This is why silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Archangel Michael reveals that the watcher, the hidden agenda, the entire situation forming around you, is expecting one thing above all else: your reaction. They are not only observing what you do, they are anticipating how quickly you do it. They are watching for emotional signals, for urgency, for patterns that confirm what they already believe about you. And this is where your power begins, in breaking that expectation. Have you noticed how difficult it feels to remain silent when something inside you wants to speak? That discomfort is not accidental. It is the moment where your old patterns are being challenged. The part of you that wants to explain, defend, correct, or engage is being confronted by a higher awareness that is asking you to wait, to pause, to hold your position. Because when you do not react immediately, something powerful happens. You create space. Space for clarity. Space for truth to reveal itself without interference. Space for the situation to unfold further so that you are not acting on partial understanding. And most importantly, you remove the control others may gain from your predictability. Silence disrupts expectation. Silence creates uncertainty for those who are watching. Silence forces others to reveal more than they intended, because without your reaction, they are left to fill the space themselves. This is why Archangel Michael is guiding you into stillness right now. Not permanent silence, not avoidance, but intentional delay. A pause that allows you to move with awareness rather than impulse. There is also something deeper at work here. Silence protects your energy. Every reaction you give, especially when it is emotional or rushed, releases a part of your focus, your clarity, your control. It disperses your attention outward, instead of allowing it to remain centered within you. And in moments like this, when observation is active and agendas are forming, Your energy must remain guarded. You are not meant to respond from emotion. You are meant to respond from alignment. And alignment requires stillness first. This does not mean you will never speak. It does not mean you will never act. It means that when you do, it will come from a place of certainty, not pressure. From clarity, not confusion. From intention, not habit. Archangel Michael is reminding you that timing is just as important as action. A correct response given at the wrong time can create the wrong outcome. But a delayed response, given with full awareness, can shift everything in your favor. So when you feel that urge rising within you, when you feel the pressure to react quickly, recognize it for what it is, a moment of testing. A moment where your awareness must override your instinct. A moment where your silence carries more power than your words. Let others wonder. Let others wait. Let others reveal themselves further in the absence of your immediate reaction. Because what unfolds in that silence will give you more clarity than any rushed response ever could. You are not losing control by waiting. You are gaining it. And Archangel Michael stands with you in that stillness, reminding you that true power does not rush. True power observes, aligns, and then moves with precision. So hold your position. Stay grounded. Let silence do its work. Because in this moment, your restraint is your strength. Type "I master my silence" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7070 is now surrounding your stillness. There are moments in life that pass like any other, and then there are moments that carry weight, timing, and consequence far beyond what they appear to be. You are standing in one of those moments now. It does not look extraordinary on the surface. It does not announce itself with visible signs or dramatic shifts. But in the spirit, this moment is marked. And Archangel Michael speaks with urgency that cannot be ignored. This is a window, and it will not remain open for long. A window is not permanent. It is not guaranteed. It is an opportunity, brief, precise, and time-sensitive. And what makes this moment so critical is that it exists between awareness and action. You have already been made aware. You have already been shown what is happening around you, who is watching, what is forming, and why your next move matters. Now, you are standing in the space where that awareness must translate into intentional alignment. This is the turning point. What you choose here will not just affect the immediate situation. It will set the direction for what unfolds next. Because windows like this are not random. They are positioned. Positioned at the exact moment where a shift can either elevate you or entangle you further. Have you felt the urgency beneath everything lately? Not panic, not fear, but a quiet pressure that something must be handled correctly. That sense that this moment matters more than others. That is not your imagination. That is your spirit recognizing timing. And timing is everything. Archangel Michael reveals that the window you are in right now is connected to clarity. Clarity that is available to you, but only if you remain aligned long enough to receive it fully. Because clarity does not always arrive instantly. Sometimes it unfolds in layers, revealing more as you remain patient, observant, and grounded. But here is where many miss it. They rush. They feel the urgency and mistake it for pressure to act quickly, when in reality, it is a call to stay aware. And by acting too soon, they step out of the window before it has fully revealed what they needed to see. This is why you must not confuse urgency with haste. Urgency is awareness of importance. Haste is reaction without clarity. And right now, you are being called into urgency without haste. Because the watcher, the hidden agenda, the shifting dynamics around you, all of it is also moving within this same window. Decisions are being considered. Positions are being adjusted. Outcomes are being prepared. But none of it is fully set yet. Everything is still in motion. And that means you still have influence. But that influence only exists while the window is open. Once it closes, the situation begins to solidify. Patterns become fixed. Plans move into action. And what could have been redirected becomes established. This is why Archangel Michael is urging you now to remain present, aware, and intentional. Not distracted. Not passive. Not reactive. But fully conscious of what is happening within and around you. Because this window is not only about what others are doing, it is about what you are becoming. This is a moment where your awareness must mature into discipline, where your understanding must become action, not in the form of movement, but in the form of control. Control over your reactions. Control over your timing. Control over your alignment. You are being given a chance to move differently before everything around you locks into place. And that chance will not last forever. There is also something deeper you must recognize. Windows like this do not repeat in the same way. Once this moment passes, the same level of awareness, the same positioning, the same opportunity to influence the outcome may not present itself again. It will evolve into something else, something that requires a different response. So do not take this lightly. Do not assume you can delay awareness and still have the same effect later. Do not believe that this moment is just another passing situation. This is the turning point. And Archangel Michael stands firmly beside you, reminding you that while you cannot control everything around you, you can control how you move within it. And that control, right now, is everything. So stay present. Stay grounded. Stay aligned. Because what you do within this window will determine what comes after it. And once it closes, what follows will reflect the choices made within it. Type "I honor this moment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 8080 is now activated over your timing. There is a shift happening around you that may feel uncomfortable, even confusing at times, because it does not arrive with clear explanations. It shows up as distance, as silence where there used to be ease, as a subtle pulling away that you may have tried to resist, question, or even reverse. But Archangel Michael steps into this moment with firm clarity and declares, "This is not loss. It is separation by design." You must understand this deeply, because if you misunderstand this phase, you will try to fix what heaven is intentionally adjusting. Not every connection is meant to continue at the same level when you begin to change. Not every environment can hold your next version. Not every person can walk with you into your next level of awareness. And when that shift begins, separation is not rejection, it is protection. Have you noticed how certain interactions feel heavier now? How conversations that once felt natural now feel forced? How some connections seem to require more energy than they give? That is not random. That is misalignment becoming visible. And this is where many struggle. Because instead of recognizing misalignment, they try to restore familiarity. They try to hold on to what used to work, even when it no longer fits who they are becoming. They try to maintain closeness with people who are still operating from a version of you that no longer exists. But Archangel Michael is guiding you out of that pattern now. This separation phase is not about cutting people off in anger. It is not about confrontation or rejection. It is about repositioning yourself where your energy, your clarity, and your direction are not constantly disrupted. It is about creating space where your awareness can remain intact. Because proximity influences perception, And if you remain too close to environments or individuals that do not align with your current level of awareness, your clarity begins to blur. Your discernment weakens. Your reactions become influenced again by the very patterns you are meant to rise above. This is why distance is necessary. Not permanent for everyone. Not extreme in every case, but intentional. There are people around you who may not understand this shift. They may interpret your distance as change in attitude, as withdrawal, as something personal. But what they do not see is that this is not about them. It is about alignment. It is about preserving what is happening within you. And here is the truth that may be difficult to accept. Not everyone is meant to understand your transformation while it is happening. Some will only understand it after it is complete. Some may never understand it at all. And that is where your strength must rise, not in explaining yourself, not in justifying your distance, but in standing firm in your alignment without needing external validation. Archangel Michael reveals that this separation is directly connected to what is unfolding around you. The watcher, the hidden agenda, the shifting dynamics, these things rely on access. Access to your patterns, access to your reactions, access to your energy. And when you create distance, you limit that access. You reduce visibility. You disrupt the ability for others to fully read you, to anticipate you, to position themselves around you. Distance protects your movement. Distance preserves your clarity. Distance gives you space to observe without being influenced. And this is critical in this moment. Because while others may be trying to understand you from a place of observation, you are being called to understand your environment from a place of awareness. And that requires space. This does not mean isolation. It does not mean disconnecting from everything. It means being selective, being intentional, choosing where your energy goes and where it does not. Because energy is not unlimited, and where you place it determines what grows. If you continue to invest in misaligned connections, you feed confusion. You feed distraction. You feed the very dynamics that are working against your clarity. But when you step back, when you create space, when you allow distance to exist without rushing to close it, you begin to see more clearly. You begin to understand what was previously hidden. You begin to recognize patterns that were once overlooked. And that awareness becomes your advantage. Archangel Michael stands beside you in this phase, reminding you that separation is not punishment, it is preparation. Preparation for a level of clarity, strength, and alignment that cannot exist in the same environment as confusion. So do not resist this shift. Do not force closeness where distance is forming naturally. Do not return to patterns that your awareness has already outgrown. Let the space exist. Let the distance serve its purpose. Because what is meant to remain will align again naturally, and what is not will fall away without force. Type "I honor divine separation" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 9090 is now surrounding your alignment. As you step into this divine separation, understand this truth: every seed you sow becomes light in someone else's darkness. When you release your support through Super Thanks with a PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are fueling a mission that carries truth into hearts still trapped in confusion. The word declares, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days," and your act today becomes a ripple of awakening across unseen lives. I speak this as a direct invitation. I am asking you to move now, not later, because this moment carries spiritual weight. Your giving is not a donation. It is a prophetic alignment with what God is doing through this message. As you release, heaven responds. As you sow, heaven multiplies. Step into it now. There is a truth unfolding in this moment that goes deeper than what is happening around you, deeper than the watcher, deeper than the hidden agenda, deeper than the separation you are beginning to experience. And Archangel Michael brings this revelation forward with unwavering clarity. This situation is not only exposing others, it is revealing you to yourself. This is the part many try to avoid. It is easier to focus on what others are doing, what others are planning, how others are behaving. But in every moment of pressure, in every moment of observation, in every moment where your next move matters, there is also a mirror being held up to you. A mirror that reflects not your past self, but your current state of awareness, your growth, your discipline, and your alignment. And this mirror does not lie. Have you noticed how your internal responses have started to change? How you are becoming more aware of your own thoughts before they turn into words? How you catch yourself before reacting the way you used to? That is not random. That is evolution. That is you stepping into a higher level of control over yourself. Because the greatest shift in this entire situation is not what others are planning. It is who you are becoming in response to it. Archangel Michael reveals that this moment is a test of identity. Not the identity you show to the world, but the one you hold within. The one that determines how you respond under pressure. The one that defines whether you act from old habits or new awareness. This is why the situation feels so intense. Because it is not just external, it is internal. You are being shown where you still feel the urge to explain yourself, where you still feel the need to be understood immediately, where you still feel pulled toward reacting instead of observing. And at the same time, you are also being shown your strength, your ability to pause, your ability to step back, your ability to choose silence when reaction would have been easier. This is the mirror. And what it reflects is powerful. Because every moment you choose awareness over impulse, you confirm something to yourself. You are no longer who you used to be. You are no longer controlled by automatic reactions. You are no longer moving blindly through situations. You are becoming intentional. And intention changes everything. There is also something deeper within this reflection that must be acknowledged. The situation is revealing your boundaries. Not the ones you speak about, but the ones you actually enforce. The ones you live by. Because it is easy to say you value peace, clarity, and alignment. But moments like this test whether you are willing to protect those things when it matters. Whether you are willing to step back, to create distance, to remain silent, even when it feels uncomfortable. This is where identity is solidified. Not in easy moments, but in challenging ones. Not when everything is clear, but when things are uncertain. Not when there is no pressure, but when pressure is present. Archangel Michael is showing you that this is not just a situation to navigate. It is a moment to define yourself. Who are you when you are being watched? Who are you when your actions carry weight? Who are you when reacting quickly would be easier than holding your position? These questions are not meant to challenge you. They are meant to strengthen you. Because once you answer them through your actions, not your words, you become stable in who you are. You no longer shift based on circumstances. You no longer adjust based on pressure. You become consistent. And consistency is power. The spiritual mirror also reveals something else. Your level of trust in yourself. Not trust in others. Not trust in outcomes, but trust in your own awareness. Your own ability to navigate what is unfolding without losing your alignment. Because the more you trust yourself, the less you need to react for validation. The less you need to prove anything. The less you need to control how others perceive you. You simply move with certainty. And that certainty becomes visible. It becomes something others can feel, even if they do not understand it. It becomes something that cannot be easily influenced or shaken. This is what you are stepping into now. A version of yourself that is grounded, aware, and controlled. A version of yourself that does not rush. A version of yourself that does not react out of habit. A version of yourself that sees clearly and moves accordingly. So as you continue through this moment, do not only watch what is happening around you. Watch yourself. Observe your thoughts. Notice your impulses. Recognize your growth. Because the situation will pass. The watcher will either act or fade. The hidden agenda will either unfold or collapse. But who you become through this that remains. Type "I see myself" clearly in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1111 is now reflecting your true self. There is something you must understand now, something that shifts the entire weight of what you have been feeling. You are not navigating this moment alone. You are not exposed in the way your mind may try to convince you. And Archangel Michael steps forward, with unmistakable authority to make this clear, while you have been observing, while you have been adjusting, while you have been learning to move with awareness. There has been protection surrounding you the entire time. Not passive protection. Not distant observation. Active, intentional, precise protection. Because when moments like this arise, when watchers observe, when agendas form, when decisions begin to shape outcomes, heaven does not remain still. Heaven responds. And that response has been moving around you in ways you have not fully seen, but have subtly felt. Have you noticed how certain situations did not escalate the way they could have? How certain conversations never fully happened, even when it seemed like they were about to? How certain outcomes were delayed, redirected, or softened in ways you cannot fully explain? That is not coincidence. That is intervention. Archangel Michael's presence is not symbolic in this moment. It is strategic. He stands as a shield, not only against what is visible, but against what is forming before it reaches you. This is why some things feel like they are on pause. Why certain movements around you seem incomplete. Why the agenda forming behind closed doors has not yet taken full shape. Because it is being restrained, measured, limited. You are being given time. Time to see clearly. Time to align your actions. Time to move with awareness before anything finalizes. This is protection in motion. Because true protection is not only about blocking what comes toward you, it is about creating space for you to position yourself correctly before it arrives. And this is what Archangel Michael is doing now. He is not removing your responsibility to act wisely. He is not eliminating the need for your awareness. Instead, he is reinforcing your position so that when you move, you do so from strength, not vulnerability. There is also something deeper you must recognize. Protection does not always feel like safety. Sometimes it feels like delay. Sometimes it feels like confusion. Sometimes it feels like being held back when you want to move forward. But what you interpret as restriction is often preservation. Because if everything unfolded at once, if every plan, every intention, every hidden agenda revealed itself immediately, you would be forced to react before you were fully ready. And reaction without readiness leads to misalignment. So instead, you are being guided step by step. Shown pieces, not the entire picture. Given awareness, not overload. Allowed to adjust, rather than being overwhelmed. This is how protection works at its highest level. Archangel Michael is not only shielding you from what could harm you, he is shaping the timing of what reaches you, ensuring that when it does, you are no longer the version of yourself that could be affected in the same way. This is why your growth has been so important. Because protection and growth work together. The more aware you become, the more effective the protection becomes. The more aligned you are, the less access anything misaligned has to you. And this is where your confidence must rise. You are not being watched without support. You are not being observed without covering. You are not standing in this moment unguarded. You are surrounded by a level of protection that operates beyond what you can see, but it requires your cooperation. And your cooperation comes through awareness, through restraint, through intentional movement. Because protection does not replace your choices, it strengthens them. There is also a critical truth you must hold on to. Not everything that approaches you will reach you. Not every plan will succeed. Not every intention will unfold as it was designed. Because there is a boundary around you now. A boundary that limits what can come too close. A boundary that filters what is allowed to affect you. A boundary that stands firm even when you cannot see it. And that boundary is not fragile. It is reinforced, strengthened by your awareness, strengthened by your alignment, strengthened by the very fact that you are choosing to move differently in this moment. So as you continue forward, do not move from fear. Do not move from the belief that you must control everything around you. Move from understanding. Move from awareness. Move from the knowing that you are guided and guarded at the same time. Because when you move from that place, your actions become precise. Your decisions become clear. And your presence becomes stable. Archangel Michael stands not behind you, not far from you, but around you. And in that presence, you are not vulnerable. You are positioned. Type "I am protected" and positioned in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1212 is now surrounding your path. There comes a point in every moment of awareness where a choice must be made. Not a dramatic choice. Not one that announces itself loudly. But a quiet decision that determines whether what has been revealed will be used or ignored. And Archangel Michael steps forward now, not with fear, but with firm clarity, to deliver this truth. Awareness without action becomes vulnerability. You have been shown what is happening. You have been guided to see differently. You have been given insight into what is forming around you, what is watching you, and why your next move carries weight. Now comes the part that cannot be avoided. What will you do with it? Because ignoring this message does not mean nothing happens. It means something happens without your awareness influencing it. It means the window you were given closes without you stepping into alignment. It means the patterns you were shown continue without interruption. And this is where the real consequence exists, not in punishment, not in fear, but in mispositioning. Archangel Michael reveals that when awareness is ignored, patterns repeat. Not because they are unavoidable, but because they were not interrupted at the right moment. And you are standing in a moment right now where interruption is possible. If you return to automatic reactions, if you move without intention, if you respond based on habit instead of awareness, you confirm everything that is being observed about you. You reinforce the expectations that others are building. You allow the hidden agenda to solidify without resistance. And once it solidifies, it becomes much harder to redirect. This is not about losing everything. It is about losing influence over what could have been shaped differently. Have you ever experienced a situation where, after everything unfolded, you looked back and thought, if I had just handled that moment differently, the outcome would have changed? That is the kind of moment you are in now, but this time, you have been warned before it happens. This is your advantage. But it only remains an advantage if you use it. Ignoring this message does not make the situation disappear. It simply removes your awareness from it. And without awareness, you move in the same patterns that others have already studied, already anticipated, already prepared for. This is where many unknowingly give away their position. They assume that doing nothing is neutral, but doing nothing consciously and doing nothing unconsciously are not the same. Conscious stillness is power. Unconscious inaction is vulnerability. If you ignore what you have been shown, your silence becomes unconscious. Your delay becomes passive. Your movement becomes predictable again. And in that predictability, the watcher regains clarity. The dialogue with uncertain becomes certain. The agenda that was forming becomes fixed. The outcome that could have shifted begins to take shape without your influence. Archangel Michael is not warning you to create fear. He's warning you to create responsibility. Because once you see clearly, you are responsible for how you move. And responsibility is not a burden. It is power. It is the ability to choose differently. To act with awareness. To break patterns before they repeat. A shift direction before it becomes fixed. This is what is being placed in your hands right now. But there is also something deeper to understand. Ignoring awareness does not only affect the situation, it affects you. It reinforces old habits. It weakens your trust in your own perception. It teaches your mind to overlook signals that were meant to guide you. And over time, that creates a cycle where clarity becomes harder to access. But when you respond to awareness, when you honor what you have been shown, something shifts within you. Your confidence strengthens. Your perception sharpens. Your ability to navigate future situations improves. Because you begin to trust yourself. And that trust becomes your foundation. So this is the final warning, not of what will happen to you, but of what will happen without you. Without your awareness guiding your actions. Without your intention shaping your responses. Without your alignment influencing the outcome. You will still move. The situation will still unfold. But it will do so without the advantage you were given in this moment. And that is what you must not overlook. So do not dismiss this. Do not assume it is just another moment that will pass. Do not return to old patterns simply because they feel familiar. This is your chance to move differently before everything around you locks into place. And once it does, your role shifts from influencing to reacting. Archangel Michael stands firm, reminding you that you are not here to react. You are here to move with awareness, to shape what comes next, to stand in alignment while others are still operating from assumption. So choose wisely. Choose consciously. Choose differently. Because what you do now determines whether this moment becomes a missed opportunity or a turning point. Type "I do not ignore the warning" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1313 is now sealed over your awareness. There comes a moment, after the warnings, after the awareness, after the tension and the testing, where everything begins to settle into something deeper. Not confusion. Not pressure, but clarity. And Archangel Michael steps forward now, not with urgency, but with authority, to declare this final truth. You were never meant to remain in reaction. You were meant to rise into authority. This is where everything shifts. Because up until now, you have been observing what is happening around you. You have been learning, adjusting, becoming aware of the watcher, the agenda, the timing, the separation. But this final moment is not about observation anymore. It is about embodiment. It is about stepping fully into the version of yourself that all of this hath been preparing you to become. You are no longer the one being studied. You are the one who moves with intention beyond what can be studied. You are no longer the one reacting. You are the one deciding. You are no longer the one uncertain. You are the one aligned. And this is your authority. Archangel Michael reveals that authority is not loud. It does not demand attention. It does not need to prove itself. True authority is quiet, grounded, and unwavering. It is seen in how you move, not in how you speak. It is felt in your presence, not in your explanation. And right now, you are being called to step into that. Because everything that has been happening, the observation, the tension, the hidden movements, has been a test, yes. But more than that, it has been a preparation. Preparation for you to stop moving as someone who is uncertain and to begin moving as someone who knows. Knows when to speak. Knows when to remain silent. Knows when to step forward. Knows when to step back. Knows when to engage. Knows when to walk away. This is the level you are stepping into now. And at this level, something powerful happens. You are no longer easily influenced. The watcher loses clarity. The agenda loses direction. The environment around you begins to adjust to you, instead of you adjusting to it. Because authority shifts the dynamic. When you move with authority, people can no longer predict you based on your past patterns. They can no longer rely on your reactions to guide their plans. They can no longer position themselves around you in the same way. You become stable. And stability creates distance between you and manipulation. There is also something deeper that Archangel Michael reveals here. Your authority is not something you are gaining. It is something you are remembering. Something that has always been within you, but was clouded by distraction, by habit, by moments where you doubted your own awareness. But now that clarity is returning, and with it comes responsibility. Because authority requires consistency. It requires you to continue choosing awareness, even when it would be easier not to. It requires you to maintain alignment, even when others misunderstand it. It requires you to trust your perception, even when it is not yet confirmed externally. This is not temporary. This is a shift in how you move forward from this moment on. You are no longer reacting to situations as they come. You are navigating them with intention before they fully unfold. You are no longer waiting to understand what is happening. You are perceiving it as it forms. You are no longer hoping for the right outcome. You are positioning yourself for it. And this is what separates this moment from all others. Because this is not just about what happens next. This is about who you are from this point forward. Archangel Michael stands with you, not to guide you step by step anymore, but to affirm that you are ready to move with clarity on your own. That the awareness you have received is enough. That the alignment you have stepped into is real. You are not the same. And because of that, what comes next will not unfold the same way either. So stand firm in this. Do not shrink back into old habits. Do not question what you now clearly see. Do not give away your position by returning to what you have already outgrown. Move forward with certainty. Move forward with control. Move forward with authority. Because the moment you step fully into that, everything around you adjusts. Type "I walk in authority" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1414 is now sealed over your destiny. As you step into this authority, hear this clearly. Every seed you release becomes a torch that ignites another soul in darkness. When you give through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are advancing a divine mission that carries truth into lives that are waiting for awakening. The Lord declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over." And this is not distant scripture. It is a living promise over your action right now. I am calling you into this moment personally. I invite you to move as one who responds, not delays. This is not generosity. It is alignment with heaven's work. As you sow, doors open. As you release, blessings accelerate. Act now and become part of what God is multiplying through this message.